From Studio 401, it's the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on The Fringe FM. I'm Vance Nesbitt, and here's our headlines. The Ebola outbreak in the Congo is declared a global health emergency. The World Health Organization has issued the order. The virus has infected more than 2,500 people and has killed nearly 1,700. The year-old Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is now considered a global health emergency. The World Health Organization said on Wednesday, in a formal declaration that many public health experts called long overdue. This is still a regional emergency and by no way a global threat, said Robert Steffen of the University of Zurich, chairman of the World Health Organization Emergency Committee that recommended the declaration. The panel was persuaded by several factors that have made combating the epidemic more urgent in recent weeks. The disease reached Goma, a city of nearly 2 million people. The outbreak raged for a year. The virus has flared again in spots where it had once been contained, and the epidemic hot zone has geographically expanded in northeastern Congo near Rwanda and Uganda. Violence against the health workers has been a constant worry and has intensified after 2 Congolese workers were killed in their homes in Benai last week. Source, The New York Times. And a woman in Missouri says that she and her family have had a few encounters with a gorilla-like creature. The anonymous woman out of Crawford County told the BFRO that the sightings began back in 1991 and are still ongoing. The first time I saw it, I was driving home and coming around a curve when I noticed eye shine, she said. As I got closer, I saw a creature standing on the side of the road. The woman describes it as a 2-legged, 8-foot-tall creature with reddish-brown hair and weighing approximately 800 pounds. When the truck lights hit the thing, it covered its face with its arm. The eyewitness says her elderly mother also spotted the creature a few times. She would call me and tell me something was hitting her trailer very hard. One time, she added, her mother said that she heard the dogs barking outside, and when she came outside to investigate, she witnessed the creature talking to the dogs as though it was trying to calm them down. She stated that if an 800-pound gorilla could talk, that's probably what it would sound like. The last incident she recalls was last summer when she bought a night scope, and she and her husband went out on the front porch and sat down to watch the woods. This thing was standing there watching us as we were watching it. It was approximately 8 feet tall or a little taller and huge. Its arms hung down past its knees and kind of curved as a monkey's would. Its head was crowned to some degree. We passed the scope back and forth to each other. My husband couldn't believe what he was seeing. The woman says she never felt threatened by the alleged animal, and that out of the 4 times she and her family encountered it, only once she felt that she could have possibly misidentified it. If I hadn't seen it with my own 2 eyes, I'd be skeptical too, I suppose. Source, cryptozoologynews.com. And let's take a moment for an extremely disturbing fun fact. The Sour Toe cocktail is practically a rite of passage for visitors to Dawson City, Yukon. It's a simple drink, a shot of whiskey, usually Yukon Jack, with an unusual accompaniment, a mummified human toe. Thanks for listening to the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. Again, I'm Vance Nesbitt, news anchor and sorcerer.
Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere. Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS speed rescue.
You are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Do I really got to say it? Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void. I'm Joe Roop. Thank you so much for listening tonight. We are live on the Fringe FM. It is Tuesday night, July the 23rd on into the 24th. Look, I'm excited. I've wanted to talk to our guest tonight, Robert Bruce, for some time. And most of you that are into the subject of astral travel, the out-of-body experience, psychic protection, even magic and the occult know who this man is. But just in case you don't, for reference tonight, go to astraldynamics.com. That is the website. Also, he's got a pretty cool YouTube channel too. Real quick, I got to let you know this show is brought to you by getthetea.com. The webinar is the 29th. Come hang out with Ronnie McMullen and I the 29th at 5 Pacific PM. Go to getthetea.com to sign up. Also, the show is brought to you by Ancient Life Oil, the best CBD oil on the planet. AncientLifeOil.com and preparewiththefringe.com. At the very least, go get one of those water purifiers. I would definitely get one of those if I was you right now. Also, thank you to the new supporters. And there's a donate button on the website if you want to support. You could also leave a review, use the Amazon portal, grab some LTV swag. And if you have had a sighting out in the west of the United States, give UFO Seekers a call at 661-UFO-7889. Go check out the YouTube channel. Almost 250,000 subscribers. Fantastic interview he just did on the Black Vault. YouTube.com/UFO Seekers. So tomorrow night we're gonna have an interesting guest on too, but I'm just kind of flustered here because I don't want to underplay this, how important this is to me, and I'll tell you why just real quick. So we've talked about a lot of subjects on here. I've talked about astral travel till the cows come home on this show, but Robert Bruce kind of he gets into all of the things that we discuss on this show. Psychic protection, astral travel, the out-of-body experience, even magic and the occult entities, weird stuff that happens in the astral realm, and it's pretty much a heavy topic of Lighting the Void, so this is a real treat. But if for some reason you don't know who Robert Bruce is, Robert Bruce is a published metaphysicist and a true spiritual pioneer of our times, and I would agree with that 100%. Author of 5 groundbreaking books, with 3 and second editions, and his life is spent exploring the dynamics of all things paranormal and spiritual and testing the boundaries of the greater spiritual reality. This exploration particularly involves the human energy body and its chakras, which form the foundations of both the physical and spiritual existence. The depth and scope of Robert's experiential knowledge is pretty impressive. His other areas of expertise include astral projection, which we call the out-of-body experience, Kundalini, all the phenomena that surround that, clairvoyance, the mind's eye, spiritual and psychic development, metaphysics, psychic self-defense, and more. Now, Robert lectures internationally and currently resides in sunny Australia, and you can find him on the web at astraldynamics.com, as I mentioned previously, and his community site and forum at astraldynamics.com.au. And when not writing or lecturing, you'll find him diving enchanted reefs and exploring the wild places of the Australian outback. Wow, that's got to be fun. I'm impressive, and I'm jealous of that. So I usually don't start this, Robert, this question, because everybody asks this question, but I have to know because I'm very curious about you, and I don't know why I don't know this, but how did you actually get started in this? I know this is what everybody asks, but I really don't know this about you.
Well, that's a can of worms, my friend. I was, put it this way, my first memories of early childhood. I was about probably 4 years of age, was of waking up in bed, paralyzed, with this very uncomfortable vibration going through my body, and a bright light coming from above my head, above my right shoulder, that I couldn't see. And I've had many experiences like that, and I hated it. And one night I had this experience, this paralysis, not long after going to bed. Keeping in mind I was like 4. And I managed to turn around and look at the light. Now, I know now that my astral body was turning around inside my own skin. My physical body was paralyzed, but my astral body was coming loose. And I turned around and looked above my shoulder, and there was a ball of light about the size of a basketball, which was a cream type of light, that it was pulsing rapidly. And sitting next to this ball of light was a large ET of the insectoid variety. You know, like a big praying mantis with a big triangular face and big eyes.
Right.
And I stared at this thing gobsmacked, keeping in mind I was just a little lad. And I didn't even have time to be afraid. It was like, what the? And this thing looked at me and noticed that I was looking at it, reached out and tweaked this ball of light, and I was out like a light. Now, that was my first experience. Now, either the next night or a couple of weeks later, I went to bed and started to buzz all over from head to foot, but this was a very comfortable buzzing, what we call the vibrations. And I floated up out of my body, and feet first was like moved through the house. Something was moving me through the house. And this happened multiple times a night from then on. And I've had literally thousands of astral projections, spontaneous variety. And in my early childhood, I explored the country and learned how to walk and how to fly, just working it out myself. And I say over many years of doing that, I learned a lot about astral projection. And when I started getting interested in it, at the age in my early 20s, when I was also learning how to meditate and things like that, I had all that life experience to call on, and I knew I could do it. But now, deliberately initiating an astral projection as an adult was quite different. When I was a kid, if I wanted to astral project, I'd just go to bed and I'd look up at the ceiling, at the cornice, and just imagine what I'd been doing the night before, where I used to fly around my bedroom and, go through the walls and things like that. And I just think about astral projecting. I didn't know what it was called then. We never had a television. I'd never read anything about it. So these are pure observations from my childhood. But just looking up at the ceiling and thinking about it, I would start to buzz all over and I come out of my body. It's very easy. But as an adult, it took me many months to work it out. I mean, I was also working out how to achieve an altered state for meditation. And in the early days, it's pretty typical of today even. The only instruction I got for meditation was to sit down, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and enter the silence. That was it. Mm-hmm. It's like, blah, blah, blah. And so it took me months to work it out. And that's why in my books I give a fairly extensive explanation of what's happening and how to achieve it, progressively. My mind is wired like that. I'm a real detailed person. So, even down to the details of what to do with, build up of saliva in your mouth and little things like that can throw you or cause you problems during when you're meditating at all. astral projection is very similar. If you're doing a conscious astral projection, you get all kinds of little issues that can arise that can interfere with the projection. But that's basically where I came from. I just started out by doing it, and then, took it up again in my 20s when I taught myself how to, manually induce an astral projection. And over the years since then, I've learned that, one of the big secrets of astral projection is that every living thing astral projects whenever they sleep. This is a universal natural phenomena common to all living things. And if it wasn't, there would be something wrong. But because it's a natural phenomena, it fits and it makes a lot of sense out of astral projection.
Okay. So for you, it's like many of the other big names in astral projection. So you were one of the people that could just do this. And I find this very intriguing because so many of us, we try to do it. I think we try too hard sometimes. But then in your case, you're saying, well, these things just started happening to you. And over time, you started just studying more and getting more analytical about it.
Yeah. I studied the nitty-gritty of astral projection. I was fascinated with the astral projection exit, the out-of-body experience, the exit out of the body, what was happening to my mind, my body, my chakras, every little sensation, and also the re-entry when I came back into my body again, what it felt like, what was happening in my body. And I would study the OBE exit over and over and over again for years, and experimenting, trying this, trying that, until I got a really good understanding of what was happening. And the most important thing I discovered, if you read my books, you'll know, comes down to the memory issues. Anybody, as I said, everybody astral projects whenever they sleep. And most people, if they're trying to astral project, eventually they'll get tired and fall asleep. Then they will be guaranteed they're going to have an astral projection. But they're not going to remember it because there was an issue. I mean, human beings, we generally remember an occasional dream. But, remembering an astral projection, it's usually a fluke when we do remember one. And, there's not many that doesn't happen very often. Remembering altered state memories is very similar to what happens during a meditation. If you're doing an altered state meditation, the vast majority of people, and I've asked thousands of people this question, they remember the first couple of minutes of a meditation, and then there's a blank. It said they've clicked out. And they remember the last few minutes coming back into consciousness again, but there's a big gap of memories that are gone that they don't remember. This is basically the same thing is happening during meditation as is happening during astral projection. And, of course, I've worked through that over the years, understanding it, and I found ways to get around that, little tips and tricks and that which will help you to recall your astral projection. Because if you don't have the memory of a non-physical experience which you had in your astral body, then it never happened, even if it did. You see, it's tricky. If you don't have the memory, it never happened.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Even though it really did happen.
So we do it every night. It's just a matter of memory, right?
Yeah.
What about our friends that tell us that they don't dream? Oh, I don't dream. It's still just memory with them, right? It's still just, they don't remember.
And that's rare. I usually put that down to sleep deprivation, people not getting enough sleep and not waking up naturally. Normally, if you're getting enough sleep and you're waking up naturally, you'll find most people that claim they never dream will start remembering an occasional dream.
So first I know people want to know your opinions on is dream separate from astral projection? But I've got to ask you before I forget about the ethereal projection, which some people call the etherical body. I've had some lucid dreams, all kinds of different things. There was one time I really rolled out of my body, just as all of the guys that teach this, like you describe, where I got the vibration, I rolled out of my body, I saw my body, everything was more real than real. I mean, this was one of those times where I was like, I can't believe I did it. I did it. This is real, right? That thing, you've heard about it before.
Yep.
Is that separate? It feels to me like it's so separate from everything else. It just does, and I can't explain it. Do you know what I'm talking about? It doesn't feel like it's the same as what other people are calling like astral projection and lucid dreaming and things like that.
There's a reason why astral projection itself has a different quality to it, the experience. In fact, some people will often see like a mist on the floor, a few inches high, so that as they're moving through it, this mist is moving around. It's not always there. But there's also often a little bit of trepidation, like a little bit of fear involved as well. And just these different qualities. And if you try to create something during an astral projection, particularly if you're in a real-time astral projection where you're like a ghost in the real world, you will find creating things is not difficult. And this is one of the best tests of, discerning, because you can have a lucid dream of having an astral projection where you go through the entire thing because you've studied it, you've practiced it. So you'll get the vibrations, the rapid heartbeat, the falling sensation, which are the typical sensations of astral projecting, and you'll come smoothly out of your body and you'll be in the real-time zone like a ghost in the real world, and everything will go really normally. And you'll even come back into your body exactly as you expected, and you'll remember it. But the entire thing can be a lucid dream. You've lucid dreamed of having an astral projection because that is your desire, that is your intention of you're trying to do that. You may have made an astral projection attempt before you fell asleep, and then you slept for a while and then started to dream, and in your dream, you were continuing with the astral projection exit method you were using.
Right.
But there's a different quality in that, and it's quite noticeable. One, it's a lot smoother, everything works. I mean, the vibrations you get and the rapid heartbeat in real life can feel life-threatening. They're really so powerful, they can be quite worrying. You won't get that in a lucid dream copy of it. You will come out fairly smoothly, and you'll also find you have very powerful creative ability. If you're in a lucid dream, you can dreamscape. You can, if you say, for example, hold out your left hand and imagine or state, I'm holding a bunch of flowers in my left hand, instantly you've got a bunch of flowers there. If you do that during an astral projection, a real-time astral projection, that won't happen. And if you concentrated on that, it may take you like 10 seconds to create a bunch of flowers, and it would slowly take shape like a mist would appear, and that would slowly condense into a bunch of flowers. But in the dream state, in a lucid dream, that will form almost instantly.
Right. Yeah.
In perfect form. And if you end up with a bunch of roses in your hand and you say, I'm holding a beautiful bunch of daisies, they instantly change to daisies. And, you can dreamscape the same way. You can look at the hills and say, I'm looking at a beautiful beach, and instantly a beach appears in front of you. And you can dreamscape, and you can say, this beautiful white sand beach in front of you. So, and the beach is yellow, and it will instantly change to yellow sand. And, you can change the entire world very easily. I find that's fun to do, but it gets boring pretty quickly. It doesn't serve a purpose. It's like taking control of the dream state, which is what you're doing. And I find astral projection a lot more interesting.
Well, what I'm more specifically talking about, and you are explaining it, and I'm just not realizing that it's the same thing because, Robert, I'm telling you, it was so real for me. It was kind of like, and I've been trying to do it ever since, and everybody tells me, you need to talk to Robert. Robert's the guy.
Yeah.
When I leaned up on the couch, you know how when you're on a soft couch and you put your elbows in to kind of help push you up. I did that. I let the body vibrate for a little while. I let it actually even almost pass. And then I pushed up with my elbows and I was like, well, that didn't work, right? That's what I was thinking. That didn't work. We'll try again. Cause I was doing the trick where you wake yourself up at 3 a.m. and then try it, Yep. But when I stood up and said that didn't work, I was like, well, I'll go get a drink. And I started walking and I turned around pretty much. That's what I was thinking. I really don't remember what I was thinking because it felt so normal to me, but I saw myself sleeping. And that's when I realized I asked myself, this is it, right? This is the real thing. And I could feel the things in the wall. Like Robert Monroe talks about. I walked outside and I would call it flying, but it was more like pulling and stretching to things and stuff. Just nothing felt that real. And so are you saying that is just a moment that I had where I actually achieved a certain state in what you call what did you call it? Like the here and now?
The real-time zone.
Real-time zone.
In real time. From all you're saying there, you had an astral projection in the real-time zone by the sound of it. You were doing everything right, some sleep deprivation, getting up 3 o'clock in the morning, sleeping on the couch, sleeping away from your regular bed. Your regular bed and bedroom is a terrible place to practice astral projection because we're programmed to start falling asleep very quickly in our normal bedroom. The couch is a really good option, but you got up and you didn't know you were astral projecting until you saw your body. All of those things are indicators of a real-time astral projection.
Gotcha. And are you able yourself to replicate that? Because I've been trying ever since. And that's what I'm fascinated with for some reason. Other people want to go to planets and different worlds. I want to master the real-time thing first, but I just haven't been able to do it. Can you do that on call?
No, not always on call, no, but pretty much. I've probably got like a 90% chance of making it when I want to. People often assume I'll pop out of my body every couple of minutes, like it's really easy. And sometimes when I'm like having a peak experience type thing, it is like that. But most of the time I'm just like everybody else. I got to, sit down, focus on my breathing and relax and clear my mind and go. Basically, I use the same techniques that I teach in my book, Astral Dynamics, to astral project. And I go through the same process.
Gotcha.
And I'm continually studying it. But what I think happened with you, and this often happens, you were trying to have an astral projection, and you had a spontaneous astral projection. It was also a false awakening because you didn't know you were projecting. You thought you were awake and you'd actually gotten off the couch, which is called a false awakening, and that often happens to people. And typically when they realize that, they will go into the washroom or something in the bathroom and they'll turn the switch on for the light and it will go click, click if you turn the light on, but the light won't come on. Now, if you were in a lucid dream, the light would come on because you have much stronger creative ability. But in an astral projection, you try and turn a switch on, it'll go click, but the light won't come on. I don't know why it goes click. I can't work that one out. I don't know if your mind makes up that bit because if it does a click, why won't it produce the light? But often when you start trying to learn how to astral project, your higher self, which is like in every cell of your body, your higher self gives you some demonstration experiences. This is like encouragement to you. This is an example because once you've had an astral projection, you know it's real. that causes a big shift in your belief system,
Yes.
which gets one big hurdle out of the way. And then you have to put in the manual work in learning how to achieve a deeply relaxed mental, physical state whereby you can exit your astral body. And then you've got to learn how to capture the memory of that. And like, for example, the techniques that I teach, I focus a lot on memory recall. It's like keeping the astral projection very, very short. First time out of body, 10 seconds, no more. And then turn around and passionately, savagely dive back into your body. It's like you were going to jump out of an airplane or take a bungee jump. You know, you really psych yourself up to create a powerful memory. And you use a mantra like one or two key words out of the experience is very important to do. So let's say you come out of your body and you move around, but you have a look around the house and then you look at your hands and watch them melt. It's a very reliable astral phenomena. And you watch your hands melt and then you dive back into your physical body, passionately shouting, "Hands melted!" And it all goes well, which it normally will if you go through this process. You will awake in your physical body a moment later doing the same thing. You'll say, "Hands melted." And then you've got to repeat that verbally. Hands melted, hands melted. Those key words are crucially important. Mm-hmm. While you reach out and grab the pen and paper that's by your bed or by your couch and write down "hands melted" as quickly as you can before it disappears. Because astral memories, like dream memories, have the annoying tendency of just vanishing with no notice. Okay. A very common experience, my friend, is you will wake up in the morning, and I'm sure a lot of people have this, and you wake up after having an amazing dream that might be feature movie length, and you wake up and say, "Wow, what an amazing dream. It was like a movie. I'll never forget that." You're still in bed, right? And forget what? It's gone.
Yeah, like you do forget it.
Was there of a huge experience, and then it's gone.
Right.
And you say, "Oh, no, it's gone."
Well, listen, I've got to take a break here, Robert. We kind of went over, but I wanted to get what you were saying there. Some interesting questions coming in, too. You could also call into the show at 1-800-588-0335. The direct line to the call-in system, too, is 501-424-5130. I'm here with Robert Bruce from astraldynamics.com. We'll be right back.
This is Corbin, son of the one and only Joe Root, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheTea.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, you know I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of G.I. Joy at GetTheTea.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's GetTheTea.com.
So, have you heard of heavy metals? I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. No, not cleansing the outside of your body, but cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Alex. Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, The Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm, call the station at 501-777-5631, or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Alright everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Light in the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to The Fringe FM, and visit the website, thefringe.fm, to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on The Fringe FM.
Howdy, this is Catalina, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
And welcome back. You are listening to Lighting the Void with your host, Joseph Roop.
Welcome back. We're here with Robert Bruce. Tonight we're discussing astral projection, the out-of-body experience with one of the best in the field. Also, we're going to dig into here in just a little later entities, psychic protection, things like that nature. But I wanted to finish what we were talking about before, Robert. You had mentioned memory. Most people forget these types of things. And we've discussed that, journaling, trying to remember the stuff, things like that. But that experience that I'm telling you about, that here and now experience, I remember all the details of it. I wonder if that is because it was just so profound to me, kind of like the things that happened that I saw when I was a child. Those types of things, it almost feels like they burn something in your memory that you just can't forget. Now, the details might get washy, but you never forget the trauma from it, maybe?
Yeah, well, not a month goes by, my friend, I wake up about approximately once a month, and first thing I do in the morning, I go to the coffee machine or the kettle and, start making the morning hot drinks. And about once a month, I find a note on top of the coffee machine. It's a habit. I always do that first. And I pick up this note. I don't know what it is. and I see some really bad writing on there, and I say, what? And I know it's probably myself that wrote it the night before, during the night. And I'd had an experience, and I'd written it down, and I put it on the copy machine where I'm sure to find it. These are my key words from an experience. And when I decipher these words that are on this page, which is usually very bad handwriting there, I make out a couple of words, and bang, the whole memory of like a 2-hour experience comes back to me. It's like that. My memory is like a computer hard drive. And if you file an experience in a hard drive in some obscure folder, and if you remove the file name, so it doesn't have a file name, it's just a dot there, you can't find it. You can search all you like using sophisticated search patterns and that. You will never find it until you have the file name. And let's say on the piece of paper there, that is the coordinates of where I've stored that memory. So once I read that file name, bang, the memory process does the next thing. It calls up this lost memory full into my mind. But if you look, there's something strange about memory here. Now, if you look at the experience I was talking about before, where this happens to most people, you wake up with a really interesting dream and it just disappears from your head. It may be a dream, or it may be an astral projection even. You know, you had no BE and then it's gone. Now, you remember having the memory, but the memory is gone. And then it might come back and you say, oh, it's back again. Oh, great. I won't forget this now. And then it disappears again, and this time permanently. So twice you've had the memory and twice it's gone away. Now, after this experience, the weird thing about this is you had the memory of an extensive experience in your mind twice, and twice it's disappeared. Now, afterwards, you remember having this memory twice, and that twice you lost it. You remember that part, you just don't remember the content of that memory. So part of your memory process is working. You remember the events of having the memory and losing it and getting it back and losing again, but the contents are gone. Now, I've worked with these problems for many decades, and my work on the memory recall process for astral projection and dreams is the best I have, and it's very effective. And back to your experience, when you had that powerful experience, and as we said when we were talking in the break there, it's probable that your own higher self gave you that experience as an example, like a demonstration that it is possible, to encourage you to continue with your efforts. But the effort here is not about you obviously succeeding at the technique and you've spent a long time practicing it, but you have something that is blocking you. And in my experience, it's most likely you had a childhood astral projection experience which traumatized you. Let's say you were at the age of 2, 3, 4 years of age, that really terrified you. Something dark happened then, or you think it was something dark, even though it may have been natural phenomena. Let's say at the age of 3 years of age, you're paralyzed in bed, you've got this rapid heartbeat, you think you're going to die, you feel a continual falling sensation, and then you watch another little boy that looks suspiciously like you walking past your bed, and you think, oh my God, my evil doppelganger's here. And these are the composite of real problems I've had presenting to me. I've got an evil doppelganger when it's actually your own astral body. But just like you're awake and aware in your astral body, you can be at the same time awake and aware in your physical body, albeit usually paralyzed. And you can be awake and aware in your dream mind as well. That can give you 3 completely different aspects of the same experience from 3 different perspectives. And if you don't know this is happening, it can terrify you.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. I don't think I have to I told you during the break, but I don't think I have to go back into my stories, my childhood stories. I had some very terrifying things happen to me that just, and you know, that is the one thing too, when I have had some out of body experiences or gotten close, it's the one thing that enters my mind. Right. And that's what I wanted to ask you about as well. What am I going to see? Am I going to see another entity or another being hovering over my face?
No.
What about people that have passed away? You hear about this too. Are they really people that have passed away?
Highly unlikely. That's highly unlikely to see spirits and that. I'll tell you exactly what you're going to see when you first successfully astral project. It's what you experience in your very first experience, and one you remember coming off the couch where you thought you were really awake. That's the experience, because you would think, given the population of the planet, that the astral, the real-time zone, it's like being a spirit in the real world, would be, full of things going on. But in reality, it's a very quiet place. And if you're in a town of like 50,000 people, you might find there's half a dozen real-time projectors moving around. It's really quiet and kind of empty, because most of the population, when they're asleep, they're up on the third and fourth astral planes. It's difficult to stay around in the real-time zone for any length of time.
That makes a lot of sense to me then, because that's exactly how it felt. Empty.
Yeah, you can literally hear a pin drop. It's like that quiet. And this is kind of how it is, real-time astral projection. You will occasionally come across other astral projectors. You will even more rarely come across some kind of spirit being, usually nothing nasty. Keeping in mind you are a very powerful being as an astral projector. You just don't know it. But if you understand even a little bit about it, you learn how to get around. You learn how to do a good pentagram banishment. And that's the equivalent of like carrying a shotgun into the astral with you. It's a very powerful thing, a good earth element banishment.
Okay.
And which by the way, I've taught pentagram banishments to 5 and 6 year olds, even a couple of 4-year-olds. And a small child can sign a pentagram and say a few words. I banish you in the name of Tetragrammaton.
Right.
That's all you need to say. And a 4-year-old can do that. And they can remember it and do an effective banishment, which solves a lot of their dark nocturnal problems that some children get.
Okay, so
of the bed.
Before we go on after that, this is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because I've extensively studied magic and Rosicrucian magic and have performed banishing rituals myself, and you're the only one that I know that talks about these things. In fact, a lot of your psychic protection is very similar to the psychic protection teachings of, say, like Dion Fortune or the Rosicrucian protections or the Sign of Silence of Egypt. And you're bringing out powerful names like the Tetragrammaton. This is not what other people like Monroe people and others are doing. And I see you kind of blending what I would say like modern day astral projection techniques with, ancient kind of stuff that's been handed down through mystery schools. And I think that's fantastic. But I wonder how the response is and why you started doing that.
I can tell you why I do that. And I understand why other authors and people in this field don't. It's because if you have a particular belief system, a certain set of beliefs, now for most people, like they don't believe in magic and things like that. So if you don't believe in magic, obviously, all these banishment rituals and things like that are not going to work because you don't believe in it. If you're heavily Christian programmed, Judeo-Christian programming inside of you, everything, if you're going to do any kind of banishment, it's going to be get behind me in the name of Jesus and things like that. Now, I've tried all those things. They don't work. I'm only interested in what works. Now, when I find something that does work, I do more of it. This is my general protocol and my general advice to people. In my book on psychic defense there's a lot of different practical countermeasures, like using running water and different types of incense and things like that, plus some banishments, or a banishment. The earth element banishment is the one I use, and I use that because it works, because 99.999% of spirit entities, whatever they are, ex-human, non-human, whatever, they are all earth element creatures. And if you banish the earth element, you banish the creature, whatever it is. And it's effective. And now, when I had the same problem in the beginning, I didn't believe that something like that would work. Until I was pushed into a corner once and I tried it and it worked. And I thought, wow, I'll try that again. It worked. So I did, and it did work, and it continued to work. And this is why I teach it to other people, because it works. I can't explain to you really in 5 minutes why it works. I think it has something to do with the quantum level, with quantum mechanics. The sign of the pentagram, I think, is a very high level thing. But doing it and using a pentagram is something for us. It's very, very simple to do, and it works. And that's really all we need to know about it.
It doesn't have to have a religious connotation to it. You're just doing it because it.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I am not a religious person, although I'm a great believer in God and a higher being. And you can call it anything you like, call it providence. I'm fine with that. I call it my higher self, or your higher self, which is the same thing, because every living thing in the universe is connected.
Right.
You are another version of me, and we are at a very high level connected.
Yeah, see, that's why that's why I use the stuff too. People like to. They think, Joe Roop's a Christian, this and that. No, I was brought up a Christian, and I was forced to read the Bible. I know all of these things, but in my paradigm, when I've gotten into trouble in the astral realm, sacred geometry like pentagrams, hexagrams, and even the Hebrew letters, I've traced them before when I've run across certain things in my dreams and my sleep. They work for me, and it's not because I have a certain belief system. They just work for me. I don't know why, to be honest with you.
Well, sometimes, you don't have to know why. You don't have to know how a machine works in order to use it. You don't have to know how your motor vehicle works, every little nitty-gritty thing in order to use it. You just jump on it, push the button, turn the key, and off you go. You know how to drive it, but you don't know how to fix it or to build one. You just need to know how to drive it. That's all we know. It's like owning a motor vehicle. The same thing. You don't need a degree in mechanical engineering in order to buy a car and use one.
Right. And
but that's my general operandum here. Is I have searched the world for things that work and things that anybody can do. Now, everything in my book, the Practical Psychic Self-Defense Handbook, you can do immediately. You don't need any belief in it. You don't need any training in it. And as I said, I've successfully taught banishment pentagrams to 4 and 5-year-old children. Over many, many years, I've taught loads of children to do this, which solves their problem, because when, 2 o'clock in the morning, when the monster in the cupboard or under the bed starts disturbing them, they turn on the light and they do this banishment, and boom, peace and quiet is restored. And they're very happy, because children suffer a lot from, nocturnal type disturbances. And they're very, very easy to fix. Just turning on the overhead light will reduce the atmosphere, the negative atmosphere in a room by 75%, just by turning the light on, because these, entities do not like direct light. They don't like it. It weakens them. So turning on the overhead light is, will weaken it, do a couple of banishments, and the child is sleeping peacefully, or the adult for that matter. A lot of my patients, mostly they're adults who are having similar problems. And you just need simple solutions. You don't need something which would, require you to get a degree in metaphysics or something. You don't need that. You just need to know a few things that work. You need to know how running water works, how electrical earthing works. For example, if you come under the worst kind of attack possible, a full-on demonic attack, which when that happens to most people, their mind is terribly polluted. They're in a lot of pain, a great deal of stress. They can usually barely walk, if some of them can't walk at all. It's like you're having a terrible seizure. Now, if you manage to get to the shower and you jump in the shower, it stops instantly the moment you turn that running water on. As soon as you get under the water, it stops. And this is why when a lot of people have a psychotic break and they call the ambulance for them, they are found underneath the shower. And in some cases, they may have been under the shower for days, because it doesn't take long to work out. You're going through this terrible experience, but when you get under the shower, you feel fine. You're back to normal again. But when you come out of the shower, it all comes back again. So you get back in the shower. That's
a lot of this. What you're saying is psychological and energetic, based on our emotions.
Psychological.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not psychological. The reason why running water works is because of the electrical earthing involved. You are heavily earthed electrically to the planet through the running water and the pipes. That electrically earthed you. Now, inorganic beings, negative entities, because they are all earth element beings, cannot expose themselves to a strong electrical earth. Otherwise, they would be demanifested into the planet and they're out of here. So they avoid electrical earthing. So now if you continue this, you're having negative entity problems and you rig up something in your bed. Let's say you buy some electrically earthed bed sheets, which you can buy if you research grounded bed sheets and things like that. These are made for health purposes, and there's a lot of health reasons to have to sleep electrically earthed. You can buy various kinds of earthed pads and things that you plug into a power outlet. You could even make up some homemade varieties using a little bit of copper wire and that quite easily. And these electrically earth you to the planet, and negative entities will stay away from you.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a few questions here from the Fringe FM chat. Some people want to know just how real, based on your experience, some of these, and I know you brought up that it's very rare, but some people have reported, especially from like Monroe Institute and other places, that they do run into people that have passed away, or they've seen certain entities that they felt like were demonic. I know it's rare, but do you believe that this is real, or is this still just a psychological thing?
No, this is real. And as I said, I don't like telling general people that they can expect this sort of thing to happen because it is rare. It's like, you can. If a person is astral projecting, whether they're at the Monroe Institute or anywhere, and they come out of their body and they see a spirit there, or they see a little demon there or something like that, and most demons, yes, they do have little horns, kind of classical. And, if you're running into something, there's a reason why you're running into something. Either it is active in the area that you're in, and let's say you're staying, or it is attached, or it's attached to you and it's following you around. It's got a personal connection with you. So you're talking about something which is attached to you.
Gotcha.
And it's wherever you go, it's going to be around. And so whenever you come out of your body, this little thing may be waiting for you. But when you understand it, things like this often happen by way of initiation testing, which is built into the whole astral projection thing. It's built into the fabric of reality.
Fantastic.
Now, you will get something that will plague you until you raise the courage and you do a bit of research and you find out how to do something about it. And then you come out of your body and you do a simple pentagram banishment on the thing and you banish it. And it's gone and you'll never see it again. It's like the whole dweller on the threshold thing. The dweller on the threshold is a phenomenon that if you frequently astral project, probably after you've had a dozen astral projections, you'll come across this. It may happen the first time, but usually not. You come out of your body and then you will see a black figure of like a man wearing a wetsuit, full over the head, the whole body with burning red eyes, and it's deep breathing and it's like growling at you. It's scary. And most people will just turn around and leave and try and run, and this thing will follow you all the way. And the next time you come out of your body, it'll be waiting for you, growling at you, threatening you. And this is all this creature does. It growls at you and says, boo. It never actually attacks you.
It's a barrier of fear and a process of initiation. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, because this it's like a computer animation's been given to you, and the way to overcome this, you need to stand, turn around, walk up to it, show that you can control your fear, and tell it to go away in any way you choose. So you tell it to F off and turn around and walk away, and you will find that you will never see that creature again, because you just passed that little test where you've demonstrated that you can control your fear. And you'll find when you start astral projecting, if you do it regularly, you will come across different tests like that in the astral. You'll also come across them in your dreams. And they're often little tests whereby you might be going through an orchard, or you might be going through a house and you see these beautiful jewels laying around on tables and that, and everything is fine until you pick something up, until you pick a piece of fruit or pick up some jewels, and then people around you go, look, thief, he's stealing from us. And, they'll chase you and that. You can't get hurt. But the general rule is here, you have to demonstrate that, one, you have an honest nature, but two, that you understand that you are dreaming, and that these trinkets and things like that, why would you pick something up when you know it's probably some kind of a test? You have to demonstrate that you are at least partially conscious.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, look,
and it goes on like that.
We're at the top of the hour. This is going exactly where I wanted it to go. And I know some of you are already trying to get me to ask him certain questions. I knew this was going to happen. Robert Bruce is with us. Look, if you want to, for reference, if you want to know where to find out more information, you go to astraldynamics.com. That's the website. So if you're on your phone or you're listening on the internet or TalkStream Live, wherever you're listening from, open up another page, check it out. Also, check out his YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
Listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
And now we can get the information.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
May the gods look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
This is Elle. I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing his journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much for a delightful evening.
Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal, there's a show called Into the Paranormal. I'm Jeremy Scott. Hear me live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern on the Fringe FM.
Introducing Shadow Light Tarot from Waking Canvas, the Fringe FM's new contributing artist, Eric Tesey. This hand-illustrated black and white self-published deck serves as a reinvention of the tarot, never before witnessed. Each of the several suits of this 88-card deck lineup form an infinite panoramic scene. Even the included visual companion guidebook is entirely hand-illustrated, cover to cover, with beautiful visuals and esoteric symbols and artwork. The newly released deck comes in a custom magnetic box with its own travel pouch. The Shadow Light Tarot Premium Deck and its travel-sized mini deck Wonderlight Tarot are both available now from WakingCanvas.com. If you use the code word FRINGE, that's F-R-I-N-G-E at checkout, you'll receive an extra 10% off your entire order. To discover more, including a free reading and time lapses of all the illustrated artwork, make your way over to WakingCanvas.com today. That's WakingCanvas.com. We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling, the ground shook, you could hear rushing water, and then history repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails, stores with their shelves stripped bare, ATMs can't operate, deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand three truths. FEMA is broke, the system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25 years shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in one business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts. We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, the Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm, call the station at 501-777-5631, or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Occult Arcana is a balanced and objective guide to those subjects considered a part of the nature of light and darkness. Addressed in this text is a compilation of material that will provide new perspectives and awaken latent abilities that we all possess. The content herein shall provide magical sustenance for adept and novice alike, and will help strengthen the cornerstone of mystic understanding and alchemical transmutation. If you are interested in this modern grimoire, you can find detailed information and ways to order by visiting www.thesecretteachings.info. Although esoteric and occult studies remain vast, they are rooted within a universal philosophy that is difficult, if not impossible by finite terms, to explain in words. Language places restriction and erects barriers to understandings. By this it is to be understood that there are some things man should consider far too sacred to profane with definition. For these concepts and the manner by which we live our lives, we shall take a note from the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. Quote, Silence is better than unmeaning words. End quote. To get your autographed copy of Occult Arcana today, simply visit www.thesecretteachings.info or email The Secret Teachings at rdgable@yahoo.com.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
We're also working on a international Skype line, by the way, too. I've got it almost set up, so now that we've got the new call-in system and we've got the international Skype line, I can't wait to see what happens when Mary comes on, because I know some of you, actually from Australia, have been wanted to call into the show but couldn't because that 1-800 number just doesn't work. Well, we're getting solutions for that. And tonight we're here with Robert Bruce, a fascinating individual, instructor of astral projection, psychic protection, and many other things. And I can tell you, I'm sure you're curious that we're having some really cool discussions during the break too. But I want to bring up something, Robert, you mentioned earlier about initiation. I've read this in so many books, so many books, but the one that really got me the most was an essay by Manly P. Hall about what the ancient wisdom expects from its disciples. And he talked about how all of these structures and Freemasonic buildings and all of these so-called secret societies, that all they really were exoteric representations of what lies in the inner planes, that only the person that is going through these types of, let's just say, levels, because initiation does have some type of connotation to it, right? Only that person will know what he's going through. So when you go through these things, it's hard to explain to the public. I have people contact me all the time. I'm going through this, or teach me magic that, or teach me protection this. And like you said, I feel like sometimes I think we don't need to mess with people's belief systems and just go with what works, because everyone's on their own process, you know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Now that's true. And, you know, I think I've read that paper by Manly P. Hall, because this is how it is. As you know, I've been on the initiation path myself for decades. And I've been through a lot of initiation experiences in the astral and higher planes, including in real life, like, you know, the burning bush one, there was a dweller on the threshold, and there are literally, I don't know, hundreds of initiation experiences. This is programmed into the fabric of reality. These are like these little computer sprites, which when conditions are at a certain point, they are triggered in the fabric of reality, and this program springs to life. This dweller on the threshold, this black figure, menacing figure, will spring to life. Another version of that is like ugly-looking, troglodyte-looking monkeys, which will appear around you and leer at you and go boo and scare you. They never attack or do anything else, but of course, what you have to do then is to tell them to go away and then turn your back and walk away. And they won't be there when you get back, because you've demonstrated that you can control fear. You've demonstrated true courage. That's not the absence of fear. Only a fool has no fear. Everybody has fear. It keeps you alive. It's valuable. But the ability for the mind to control the fear is important, and it is necessary to particularly progress in this field, which you could call metaphysics, but it's actual reality. This is the real reality, the greater reality, as I call it.
Yeah. See, and but I don't know what to say sometimes, Robert, because I feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing. Some of the biggest things people ask, and maybe they should go, honestly, I feel like you should go to someone that's more experienced. I'm young. I'm in the beginning stages of this stuff. People like Robert know this stuff. They've been through it. That's who you should be contacting about these things. But they do. They ask me about psychic protection, things like that. Also, is magic dangerous? Is it not? Are demons real? The big questions everybody wants to know, because we all got these fears, right? It's just like a common thing. We all got these fears that we don't want to address. Demons being one. Another one we talked about last night, having other entities come into your body. That's like the biggest fear people have in this community. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and for good reason. I mean, demons absolutely exist, just like angels exist. But no church in the world is actually connected to angels. Angels are completely independent. But every, you could say, religion in the world tries to connect to angels, because angels are powerful and they're cool. And, it's like, if you can demonstrate some kind of connection with the angels and the archangels, this is like promoting your cause, because look, we're connected to angels. Look, we're really big time. We're really important. It's like, but angels are completely independent. It's the same with demons, and demons are not what you think they are. Some demons are just nasty, evil type characters, just as you would imagine, but a lot of them are actually quite friendly and helpful. And a lot of demons many years ago were called gods. They weren't demons. Right. Some of them are quite friendly, or at least very polite. And, it's not what you would think when you start working. So you have to go there, you have to overcome your own prejudice, which is programming, which comes from a lifetime of Judeo-Christian programming through parents, the churches, the media, your friends, everybody you know has these beliefs that things are, in very Christian view of the world. And that's what you get. And when you're talking to people that have that sort of programming, it's like working in a fireworks factory. And, you're going to be careful you don't light a match, because they get real upset when you contradict them and tell them, this is not a bad thing. Possession. I've been possessed. I've been demonically possessed.
Really?
Many years ago for a period of a few weeks. I won't go there. I consider channeling, and that, even though some people can do it successfully, I think it's incredibly risky and dangerous, because it's hit or miss whether you are going to get a real maybe spirit that could be helpful, or whether you are going to get something nasty. Now, if you're working on the left-hand path of black magic, which is it's a valid path, and it's not what you think it is. Most black magicians that I know are really decent people, often family people, and the people that I know, their main interests are in healing and helping other people. That's not what you'd expect of a black magician. But this is just how they are. They're just regular people. But they have found that black magic is, well, you could say it's like it's a shortcut. It's much more real when you're looking at the greater reality and how things work. It's much more pragmatic than you could say the right-hand path, which is religion. It's much more active and realistic. And of course, this has nothing to do with Satanism. Satanism is not black magic. Satanism is more closely related to Christianity or Catholicism. It's a religion. And of course, no black magician that I know would have anything to do with Satanism. It's a totally different thing.
I've never believed in throwing even if there was, let's take Crowley, for example, which everybody loves to say he was the evil beast, the evilest man alive, right? I mean, of course, he had a part in that too, because he would say, of course, I am the beast and you can call me Little Sunshine, right? I mean, he would poke back at him when they poked at him. But in the books,
most of the things that you hear about Crowley, I've researched him a lot over the years, and the guy was a metaphysical genius. Now, most of the things you hear about him are absolute lies. They just never happened. He never said them. Like a meeting of the Golden Dawn, he was supposed to be trying to take it over, and he took it. He is alleged to have taken a dump on the carpet in the corner of the room, and then he said to people, "I've just blessed this room," and things like that never really happened, because in those days you could slander people left, right, and centre, and this was done in the press, in newspapers, and that. And in those days, everybody read newspapers because there was no other media. And in those days, you couldn't sue somebody for telling lies about you. Today you can, but in those days, not. So whatever the media made up about him is stuck in people's minds in history as being the truth. But if you actually research that, you will find there's a completely different story.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people are afraid of is right. But I think what a lot of people are afraid of is the fact, well, especially in the UFO community, that he invoked a being, Aiwass, and there's a lot of talk about the portal. He opened up a portal to another world, but here's, look, most of the people I talk to, and I'll try to put this to bed so you and I could talk more of what your teachings are. Most of the people I talk to, most of them, not all of them, haven't read one Equinox book. They haven't picked up anything. They haven't looked at the AA. They have not looked at his diaries. They don't know everything about this man, and yet they project as if they do. I'm not saying he was a saint, because he definitely wasn't, but
You're different. Most people have not looked at evidence to the contrary, and you will find this typical sort of bias all over the place there. And most people you're talking to have like a Judeo-Christian bias. They're not very well read, and you basically have to talk around. It's like if you go to any Christian church or Christian type group and you mention the word meditation, the word has baggage on it. And in any Christian group, if you mention you meditate, you can't do that because the devil will get inside you and that. If you mention that you clear your mind, the word clearing your mind has baggage on it. If you emptying the mind, if you empty the mind, the devil will jump in there and you'll get possessed. Now, this is totally illogical. This is just because certain preachers and that preaching against it are just coming up with ways to support their thinking that meditation is bad. But now if you go into any of these groups and you say, I practice a system of deep physical mental relaxation, I focus on my breathing, and if you completely avoid words like meditation, avoid clearing the mind, emptying the mind, and phrases like that, any religious group will say, that sounds interesting, I might try that myself. Nobody is going to react to it because there's no baggage on the words you are using. And that's the trick. When you are talking with people that you perceive to have some kind of baggage with, avoid certain words and phrases that are liable to trigger their condition.
Right. I'm totally with you on that. I'll be honest with everybody right now. When I looked at Crowley's AA system that he developed, which was inspired by a lot of different things, there are few spiritual systems out there that could take you through a quote initiation than one like that. Honestly, that's intense. It's hardcore. It's a life dedicated work. And he said, like you did, like fear is a fetter, fear is the enemy. And he'll put, and with the Golden Dawn, it was a little different. Crowley would put it to the test. He would put you to the test. He would put you to the test in his systems. Are you really afraid? Right. So, I mean, there's something to respect about that. Whatever opinion you have on the man or not, there's a lot that we know in the spiritual community because of him and many other spiritual people, like as yourself. I read in a book, The Tree of Life by Israel Regardie, which is a book I read a long time ago, but there was one statement in there that really got to me. He said, the astral plane is not a place to play around in. Most folks want to come in here and play and do stuff, but this is a serious place. This place has serious effects on you, and I'm putting words in his mouth. His sentence was much shorter, but he looked at it as a place for spiritual development, and that's it, not a place for play. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. You're not gonna. It's not the end of the world if you go there and play around. For a short time, which is experimenting. It's like children do. You let a bunch of children into your backyard. Children will go and explore the environment, and they explore it through play. So there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you don't only play. When you first start getting there, it's okay to, fool around a bit. But then you start to see that it has a serious side to it. And it's not the end of the world if you fool around a little bit or go and kiss a strange girl or something like that. But, when you start getting serious about what you're doing there, exploring the astral, you will find the astral starts getting serious, and you will find you will start encountering initiation type experiences and that. And a lot of the early initiation experiences have to do with getting you to get over your fear of the non-physical realms and beings. And so these initiation experiences are like woven into the fabric of reality. Everywhere you go, they're all around you. And when the conditions are right and you're in the right place and the right mindset, these experiences are triggered. These initiation experiences are triggered around you. On whatever level you're working on, whether you're working on early astral projection or Kundalini, which is a very high level of to explore. But you will find yourself triggering initiation experiences even at that level. They're all around us. And this is we could lose all the ancient knowledge in the world, but the knowledge is actually, you could say, written in the fabric of reality around us. You can never lose that because this is the nature of reality.
Wow. And how long, if you had to say how many years have you been on this path of your initiation, like your process of learning and development, you think?
Probably 60 years.
60 years. Wow.
Yeah, because this started when I was about 4 years of age. That's when I was 4 years of age, I started astral projecting. I encountered ETs, the insectoid variety type ETs, aliens, and that all started around the age of 4. And in my early childhood, I had thousands of astral projections. And the thing is, the insectoid ET that looked like a giant praying mantis there, that ball of light, which was over my head, that did something to me. I postulate that was like an advanced form of hemisync. The Monroe Institute hemisync, their altered state inducing sounds, the ball of light, because I'd had many experiences in my life of that happening, and those paralysis experiences with that ball of light continued until my late 20s. It would happen every couple of months. I'd have an experience like that. Something would happen. So this continued for many, many years before it stopped. And I think that altered the way my brain works somehow. I don't understand the technology, but I know it was something like how, if you've ever used HemiSync technology, you'll see how that affects you. The instant you put on like a Focus 10 beat or something like that, you can feel it affecting your whole being.
Yeah, I've actually, I have the Gateway program on CD, so I know exactly what you're saying. There's something that they developed that really works there. But, I never had an out-of-body experience. I've never had an out-of-body projection with that, Robert, like never. But I did have total paralysis and stayed awake. I mean, it was amazing,
If you're getting total paralysis, my friend, an astral projection is in progress. Yeah. You have already astral projected out, and what's happening there, you're successfully having an astral projection, but you are losing the memory upon re-entry. This is why I focus so much of my work upon the memory recall issue. It's very tricky, and most of the focus needs to go on that. We've got a 5-week workshop on astral projection starting on the 27th in just a few days' time.
Okay.
If you check my website out, astraldynamics.com, and if you go to the top of the page on the right where it says blog, and my latest blog post has details of that and a link to the site that I do it with, which is Glidewing. And Glidewing, the people I work with there, they work quite closely with the Monroe Institute.
Okay, so this is a 5-week online. Wow, that's very extensive. Yeah. That's life-changing stuff. Okay.
Yeah, but you can do it at your own pace. It's all video-based. Pre-recorded stuff, but I monitor the forums and I'm there to answer questions, solve problems, and things like that throughout the entire course. So it's very successful. We haven't done one of these in about a year because we were upgrading the engine we use, which is now the new version of Moodle, which is teaching sophisticated teaching software, and we upgraded a lot of the movies and things, a lot of big changes, but we think now it's time to do another one. And so we're still open for registration now. We'll be for about another week.
Yeah, y'all check that out. Go to astraldynamics.com, click on the blog. It's right there. There's a ton of other courses on there too as well. We're already halfway through this, actually more than halfway through. We're at the news break. Robert Bruce is our guest tonight. Check out the website. Also, the call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. We'll be right back.
This is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on the Fringe FM.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
From Studio 401, it's the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. I'm Vance Nesbitt, and here's our headlines. The Ebola outbreak in the Congo is declared a global health emergency. The World Health Organization has issued the order. The virus has infected more than 2,500 people and has killed nearly 1,700. The year-old Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is now considered a global health emergency. The World Health Organization said on Wednesday, in a formal declaration that many public health experts called long overdue. This is still a regional emergency and by no way a global threat, said Robert Steffen of the University of Zurich, chairman of the World Health Organization Emergency Committee that recommended the declaration. The panel was persuaded by several factors that have made combating the epidemic more urgent in recent weeks. The disease reached Goma, a city of nearly 2 million people. The outbreak raged for a year. The virus has flared again in spots where it had once been contained, and the epidemic hot zone has geographically expanded in northeastern Congo near Rwanda and Uganda. Violence against the health workers has been a constant worry and has intensified after 2 Congolese workers were killed in their homes in Benai last week. Source, The New York Times. And a woman in Missouri says that she and her family have had a few encounters with a gorilla-like creature. The anonymous woman out of Crawford County told the BFRO that the sightings began back in 1991 and are still ongoing. The first time I saw it, I was driving home and coming around a curve when I noticed eye shine, she said. As I got closer, I saw a creature standing on the side of the road. The woman describes it as a 2-legged, 8-foot-tall creature with reddish-brown hair and weighing approximately 800 pounds. When the truck lights hit the thing, it covered its face with its arm. The eyewitness says her elderly mother also spotted the creature a few times. She would call me and tell me something was hitting her trailer very hard. One time, she added, her mother said that she heard the dogs barking outside, and when she came outside to investigate, she witnessed the creature talking to the dogs as though it was trying to calm them down. She stated that if an 800-pound gorilla could talk, that's probably what it would sound like. The last incident she recalls was last summer when she bought a night scope, and she and her husband went out on the front porch and sat down to watch the woods. This thing was standing there watching us as we were watching it. It was approximately 8 feet tall or a little taller and huge. Its arms hung down past its knees and kind of curved as a monkey's would. Its head was crowned to some degree. We passed the scope back and forth to each other. My husband couldn't believe what he was seeing. The woman says she never felt threatened by the alleged animal, and that out of the 4 times she and her family encountered it, only once she felt that she could have possibly misidentified it. If I hadn't seen it with my own 2 eyes, I'd be skeptical too, I suppose. Source, cryptozoologynews.com. And let's take a moment for an extremely disturbing fun fact. The Sour Toe cocktail is practically a rite of passage for visitors to Dawson City, Yukon. It's a simple drink, a shot of whiskey, usually Yukon Jack, with an unusual accompaniment, a mummified human toe. Thanks for listening to the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. Again, I'm Vance Nesbitt, news anchor and sorcerer.
Right, me old Chinas. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me bubble. If, like me, you found your way to Light in the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of The Fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
A very good treat for me tonight. I'm getting to speak to Robert Bruce, author, speaker, and instructor. AstralDynamics.com is the website. Robert, so far this has been a very intriguing conversation for me, and I have to ask, because I know people want to know, the idea of psychic protection. When I first started talking about this, the first thing that happened to me was I got made fun of. Or you believe in psychic and magical attacks, yada, yada. I let that go, all right, because I know what's real and whatever. But as time went on, and especially as the show grew, and this is something I'm sharing with you in the audience for the first time, and I don't know if I should, but I'm going to since you're here. Take advantage of it. As time went on and the audience grew, I did start getting more attacks. I mean, some of them were very obvious, and I don't talk about protection as much anymore, only because I don't want people paranoid about it. But it is a real thing, and some people, in my opinion, and some people don't take it seriously. What are your thoughts about that?
I totally agree. My book, The Practical Psychic Self-Defense Handbook, I believe should be taught in grade 5 in grade school. As when a child, is old enough to read, they should be taught the content of that book. Things like if you're getting a scary experience happening, turn the light on, go and take a shower. These things won't offend anybody. There's like nothing that could offend any religion in my book. It's the use of practical things, electrical earthing, salt and water and things like that anybody can do. And I've taught effective banishment techniques to 5-year-olds. Now, if a 5-year-old can do it effectively and it works for them, then that tells you something. A simple banishment is invaluable for learning, to learn, just so you know it. It's like learning first aid. You take a first aid course, you don't expect to find people dying on you, electrocuted, gushing arteries everywhere. But if it ever happens, you have some idea of what to do to stop the bleeding to help a person, just in case. So, it may never happen to you. You may be very, very confident, but it might happen to one of your children. It might happen to somebody you know and love, and that way you can do something about it. Like if you come across, you have a bit of knowledge because you've read through my book or listen to this show, and you know that running water is a very powerful defense. So you're at a house of someone you love, it could be a family member, and you see a child that looks like they're under attack, something really bad's happening, and you give some advice, quick, jump in the shower, and you put that child in the shower and it stops. All the problem stops. In fact, many years ago, before I published my books on this, I actually spread a lie because of the disbelief and the unwillingness of people when you explain what's happening and why it works. I spread a lie, and I freely admit it, on the internet, and it is everywhere now. And I started out an old wives' tale. I said I got it from an old wives' tale, that children often build up, because of modern fabrics and that, build up a static charge in their body. And the best way to get rid of that is to, one, put them in the shower, or two, if you're outside, put a garden hose on the ground and walk them through the running water. And because I'm explaining it in that way, many thousands of people started doing this. They've got a child that something weird's happening to at 3 o'clock in the morning. Instead of racing to the ER, they put the child in a warm shower first. And if the child's okay, of course, they don't take the child to the hospital. But if the child is still sick, of course, you know pretty quickly you take the child to the hospital. You don't delay getting medical attention, but on the way, walk over a garden hose, gushing running water. If the child is suddenly okay, there's nothing wrong with the child, you may not need to go to hospital. Or if you do go to hospital, you'll find you're going to get a clean bill of health. In fact, a lot of people, and this is something that happens to people a lot, mothers and children, children get these weird problems that happen like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, where the child wakes up and the parent checks them. They got an extremely high fever. They're like almost at fitting level. And, they look like they're at death's door. And the parent rushes into the car and drives at breakneck speed to the hospital, which might be 20 miles away. But by the time they're halfway there, the child is sitting up in the back of the car playing and is fine. And they end up presenting a perfectly healthy child to the ER crew. And the doctor says, the child's fine. You must have had too many covers on the child or something. They don't know why. And they think, overprotective mothers and things like that. But for that overprotective mother, half an hour or so earlier, that child's temperature was extremely high, dangerously high. And they were doing the right thing, taking them to hospital. But what they don't understand is when you get in a car and you drive down the road, you have literally millions of water pipes with water running through them. You've got sewage pipes. You're crossing streams and creeks and rivers. You're crossing running water and electrically earthed cables all the time while you're driving down the road. Now, if a child has just been exposed to a negative entity that just has a very, very light touch connection to that child, enough to attack it but not to infiltrate the child, just driving around the block, you're gonna cross hundreds of underwater main water pipes, and with water rushing through it, and that is going to break that entity away. And as soon as the entity is broken away, that child's temperature will disappear within seconds. As the body will normalize itself, the child will wake up and be fine and probably won't even remember what happened. That happens a great deal. So this is something which is just out there in the world. It's got nothing to do with beliefs, what religion you are, what you believe in, or what you do. It comes down to electrical earthing, running water, and common sense.
Yeah, man, that is fat. So, okay, the speaking of that, there are some things called, and I know you're aware of it, but I don't know if others are, like cleansing and consecration, right? And I want to talk about energy with you here for a moment. If what I've learned to do, and I know it sounds completely whack to some people, but what I've learned to do is if I bring something into my home or somebody sends me something in the mail, then if I can run water over it and cleanse it and protect it or consecrate it or what, I will. I try to clean everything energetically. I know it seems a little bit paranoid, but everything's got an energetic signature to it, doesn't it?
Yep. I do something very similar. Now, there are some unwritten rules to magic which you need to understand. If you receive a surprise gift from somebody, particularly a book of some kind, it's usually a small gift like a book or something, and it just turns up at your door, no warning, and it's maybe somebody you vaguely know on the internet or something like that. And the polite thing to do is, because there's like a 99% chance when you look at the situation that this present, this book, is magically charged. And if you accept the book and take the book as the gift it was intended to, you've just accepted that book, accepted the gift, and you've accepted any magic which is attached to it. So by accepting it, you've just triggered the magic, which is usually detrimental, bad, whatever it is. I mean, it could be a love spell. It could be anything. Somebody's got the hates with you and they send a hateful magic spell along attached to a book or some little gift, and you just accepted that. That's how it works. The polite thing to do is to return it to sender with no explanation. You do not need to explain, because that way the person knows, he's wise to that. Then they now know that you have a bit more knowledge than they thought you had.
Wow.
I've made mistakes like that in the past. I've had a lot of, particularly witches sending me like love spells and things like that. If I've accepted it before I've realized that it's a problem, a book turns up and it may have like an owl feather or something they found and put in there as a bookmark. That's a dead giveaway to me. And if I've already accepted it, what I do then is I ritually burn it in the fire pit, and I do a lot of pentagram banishments and reversals on it, reversing the magic back upon whoever sent it. Because one of the rules about psychic self-defense, if you come under attack, you must retaliate immediately. And I teach how to do that in my book very simply by doing a simple pentagram reversal. You just make an earth element pentagram. You say the words, I reverse you. I reverse you. I send you back from whence you came. I send you back double and tetragrammaton to charge it. And if you don't really know what you're doing, just say that a bunch of times, and you get better at this as you practice it. And if you are burning something, of course, like a book or something, you just do this multiple times while you're burning it. And that will effectively break the magic that's been directed at you, which can be very nasty. If it comes from an experienced witch, it could kill you, because magic is very dangerous, my friend, and I'm sure you know that. An attack by a rich magician that knows what he's doing can be lethal. It's the same with witchcraft. Witchcraft takes longer. It kind of seeps it around the edges, whereas a ritual magician might be able to kill you in like 48 hours. A witch might take a few weeks over it, because the nature of witchcraft and the spells work slower than ritual magic. But the end result is the same.
Yeah, I it's almost like you're reading my mind. I did get a package like that had some little trinkets in there, right? Where you're like, and this was back in the day, like, what's this? And the next thing you know, your pet's about to die and you got extreme bad luck, and that's when I started realizing that I needed to take the protection thing a little bit more seriously. And I don't care who laughs at me, let them laugh, because I've had a lot better existence since I've started learning about that,
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've been given a suspicious gift like that, do not give it to anybody else, because you'll be giving them the magic that comes with it. You need to either return it. If there's no return address, burn it, and do a banishment on it while you're burning it.
Now, I wanted to talk to you about, we've got a few minutes here, about alchemy. This is a subject that I think I've gotten so many opinions on this, but I had one man tell me that, and, he's gone now, actually, he passed away, but he was a pretty high magician in his order, and he never talked about it. Very humble guy. Didn't even know this till after he died, but he lived in Europe. His name was Stephen Ash, and he was talking to me about how Hermetic alchemy, there's a really cool understanding of Carl Jung and all of the symbols, and it flows together very nicely. However, that true Hermetic alchemy was about energetic transformation of yourself, the energetic transformation of your energetic body, I guess. And he tried to explain it to me like the body was the soil of the energy plant, kind of, but I didn't really get it, you know?
Yeah. It's a complicated subject, my friend, the alchemy. But if you're looking at magicians and that, if you look at the Jedis in the Star Wars movies, that is, a Jedi Knight is like the ultimate hermetic magician, because it's based upon like hermetic magic, the abilities of an accomplished hermetic magician. You know, throwing the enemies, you know, hold out your hand and you smash a few enemies and things like that. Telekinesis. This also relates to Qigong, Chinese energy work, and things like that. But these are all abilities that can be developed. But when a person develops an ability like that to a high level, they also develop the wisdom to keep it to themselves, because the world is not ready to accept the existence of those sorts of abilities. And it's a wise man keeps those sort of things to themselves. Just for example here, if you discovered a secret to longevity and you've discovered the secret to immortality, and let's say you get to 100 years old or whatever, or 200 years old or whatever, would you ever tell anybody how you did it? Because if you look at it common sense-wise, your life would be over. If it could be proven that you've done it, you'd probably spend the rest of your existence locked up in a lab somewhere. It's, right. People want to know how you do it so that they could control the information.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wonder about that too, because the only real masters I ever read about were that I know that I believe was a real master was Dr. Stylianos of Tesla. Now, I'm sure there are other people like Daskalos that live on the planet, but like you said, I don't think they come out in public. I don't know. I don't know if they show themselves or if they show their abilities. It's kind of those things that somebody happens to stumble upon. There was a really good book.
As far as I know, there are people in the world, several hundred years or more old. And, they exist, but it comes with a territory. You get the wisdom not to share that with other people. Some of their followers and that might know about it, but nobody really believes. You hear rumors more than anything, but they won't come out and actually demonstrate it. It's like the whole breatharian thing, people existing on air and not eating or drinking anything. As far as I'm aware, over the last 100 years, only one person has come forward for actual medical testing and demonstrated it, and that was a very old monk that they kept in an isolated room for a couple of weeks, and all he did was meditate and didn't lose any weight or anything, and they couldn't explain it. And it doesn't go much further than that, because these are things that really are real, are possible, but for a Western person living a fairly normal Western life to do that, it's highly unlikely.
You bring up a lot of good points, sir. You really do. And not only are they good points, there are things that we have just been talking about on the show very recently. A friend of mine from Grimerica asked about what is okay to talk about in magic in public and what's not. And I told him, basic things, and I'm just wondering what your opinion is too. Basic things like protection and pretty much the stuff that you teach, I think is okay to talk about in public,
Absolutely. I mean, I deliberately wrote my work so that it is publicly acceptable. I did in the early days. I used to worry about this and that, but here's the definition. The logical definition is, if you're a part of any secret order or whatever, it's not okay to share secret rituals and incantations and things which have been developed by that group for which you have taken vows of secrecy. Everything else is fine to share, because most of our knowledge comes from books that other people have written.
Right.
Apart from personal experience. Now, if it comes from your own personal experience, which is not related to a magical order, which you've taken vows not to share anything, then you can't share that stuff. But if it comes through personal experience and experimentation, that's fine to share. It just depends on whether you have the guts to do it, to share it, and take the flack that goes with that.
Yeah, there's the whole sign of silence thing that I was talking about Graham from Grimerica with, where that other people can affect your operations and things like that. And I know that might scare people when you hear me say that, but most people got good intentions, honestly, to begin with, from my experience. But I think that what he was worried about is because he had somebody that he really cared about, Robert, that kept getting attacked during sleep paralysis. And I mean, this was going on for years, right? And he finally found something that I guess a magician friend of his showed him to do that got rid of the entity. And he was afraid that if he talked about the experience on the air, that it would go away, right? And that's what his main fear was, that it wouldn't work, that other people would affect it.
That's understandable. You don't want to rock the boat just in case.
Right. Yeah, well, there you go.
That's understandable. I mean, certain things we should keep to ourselves. There are certain initiations and things like that happen, which you just know you should keep these things to yourself. It's personal.
Exactly.
But everything else, if it can help other people, help their understanding of the world, then, I think, you've got to be brave and share as much of this sort of thing as possible.
Absolutely.
Because there are people out there that need to hear these sorts of things.
Absolutely. And I wanted to talk to you about that too. We don't have much longer with Robert here, but I am going to discuss a little bit more about astral travel when we come back. Also, where we're headed as a society with consciousness exploration and these understandings. We'll be right back. Check out the website, astraldynamics.com. Stay with us.
This is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Did you know that qualified patients can access medical cannabis in all 50 states? CannaSense is a medical cannabis collective that helps patients in all 50 states gain access to cannabis medication. CannaSense does this with a streamlined process and strict compliance with the Compassionate Use Act of 1996, the Affordable Care Act, and the U.S. Constitution. It is important for each patient to understand the legalities involved, the costs, and the benefits of cannabis medication. Through truth, legalization, and education, the medical benefits of cannabis will supplant recreational perceptions, and the real vision for change will be realized. Let the people and their personal doctors take control of their medical cannabis decisions before the greed of big business takes over. The tipping point for change is today, and CannaSense is ready to lead the charge and enable legal access for all qualified patients to medical cannabis through its proven system. For more information, go to thefringe.fm/care or click the banner on the website today.
Ahoy there. Gigi here from Shift Happens. Do you like to boogie down to topics such as ufology, the occult, and the mysteries behind our reality? Well, I invite you to join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, that's 10 p.m. Eastern, as we like to punch that curiosity button and tickle that fancy. We tickle that fancy, but yeah, I don't know if that's the right analogy, but there's certainly a lot of tickling going on over here at Shift Happens.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
AncientLifeOil.com. For your CBD needs, just remember, AncientLifeOil.com. What does it do for the body, you ask? I can't say due to the people in the suits that run the industry. Big Pharma's all over CBD because of its well, you know what I mean. Research the benefits of CBD on Google and come back to AncientLifeOil.com and purchase your CBD today. Non-GMO and all organic. You don't want to be using a petroleum product. You want to be using the cleanest CBD product on the market. AncientLifeOil.com. We even have CBD for your pet. Help your pet's discomfort. Help your discomfort. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Newly reduced prices to pass off the savings to the most important person. You. AncientLifeOil.com. And one more thing, we have topicals too. So if you have joint pain and some different issues that are going on in your body, you might want to use a topical. Think about it. AncientLifeOil.com.
Alex Exum.
This is Alex Exum of the Exum Experience in Live Talk, where we discuss current events, society, and culture. My shows are based in actuality, actual existence, contrasted with what was intended, expected, or believed. You can listen to me live Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. only on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Every Saturday at midnight here on The Fringe FM, you can join me, Stephen Canby, the host of The Midnight Hour Show. On my show, we explore paranormal topics with a skeptical view. We search for evidence. We search for proof. We search for the truth. Because who better than me, my friends, a magician, a man trained in the art of deception and misdirection? Who better than me to investigate for you some of the greatest mysteries on planet Earth? And I hope you will join me every Saturday night here on The Fringe FM at midnight Eastern Standard Time for the Midnight Hour Show, 9 p.m. Pacific. I want you to join me here every Saturday night at midnight for an incredible journey. Consider yourself invited. Brand new episodes of The Midnight Hour Show, available exclusively every Saturday night here on The Fringe FM. Consider yourself invited.
Join us on
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You are listening to the Fringe FM, and I'm Michael Deacon reminding you can find my show right here on the Fringe FM every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, or by going to michaeldeacon.com. The choice is yours.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
When I'm
done running with the wolves after hunting down a half-ton bison. I look forward to a mind-teetering escapade evening on The Fringe FM.
And welcome back. You are listening to Lighting the Void with your host, Joseph Roop.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. You know, I got to say, man, if I had any worries about going to bed early tonight, it ain't happening. I just, well, you guys know I live out in the woods, and so sometimes during the breaks, I got to run out, and if it's an emergency, then I'll find the nearest tree. That's the kind of place I live in. But the dog that just got here, actually, I forget I got this dog that we took in. You guys know about his name's Buddy. And he is sneaky, and he just snuck up on me and scared the hell out of me. So my heart's beating out of my chest. So, I mean, I'm not used to, it's been years without a dog here. And I mean, it was so quiet. It's like you hear that step behind you and you turn around and you see a beast and it's midnight. I'm wide awake now. Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm also wide awake because Robert Bruce is with us, and we're talking about astral travel. Well, you know what, honestly, I've talked about astral travel on the show so much. I'm delighted to talk about astral travel and all of the things that it implies with it. Because usually when I have guests on here, we talk about just the astral travel thing. But now with you, I get to talk about all the other aspects, magic, the occult, the esoteric, symbolism, energy. I mean, you get all of this, and that's great. Do you think that we are starting to get this more as a society, though? Like, more people are waking up to it? Or is that just my perception because now I'm starting to understand it?
No, I think you're right. There's a growing increase, and I think it has to do with you could say, the history of the world, of our species. There's like a waveform. You could call it astrological influences. I don't know, but there is something in the universe that you could say in our civilization that brings all of this up. You could also describe this as the veil between the two worlds gets thinner. People start experiencing more spiritual phenomena, including poltergeists and things like that. And people start more astral projection and things like that. And people start to get more interested in it. And all the information they need to know is literally written into the fabric of reality around them. So even without any books or anybody to teach you, like myself, you'd be amazed at how many books I have not read. All the knowledge you need is around you just through personal experience. And the way of the master is to proceed through the steps of your own personal experience. Now, this is what separates somebody who might be knowledgeable from somebody who is a master, is because personal experience is the ultimate training, I suppose you would say, right, in that sense, because it's very, very real, it's very practical, it's personal. And if you experience something yourself, that is locked into your belief system as something real that happened to you or that you did forever. And just by doing something really different, like an astral projection, alters your belief system to the point where it opens you up to more experiences like that. And it, of course, piques your interest because it gets you interested in doing more of that.
Well, I'm totally with you on that. I often wonder sometimes when I look at things like Facebook, everybody gets in these spats about the government and politics and Area 51 and what are all these different secrets and what's all this big conspiracy going on behind the scenes. I really think the biggest question that was asked by a book I read where the man was going out of his body and he started asking questions. What does the government know about this? Things like Project Stargate. What are there people inside of the systems of our governments and power that know about this, that use it to keep us under control? If that's the case, then instead of fighting each other on Facebook or Republican, Democrat, if we all learn to become faster and better explorers of consciousness and more effective explorers of consciousness, we really could get our power back, not the other way around.
Yeah. I think this is the only way the human race will survive is if people start to take their power back in any way they can, because we live in a very corrupt world, which is very natural, and the only way to take back control is through personal experience and through getting out there. And
I didn't prime Robert to say that, by the way. That's one of our biggest things that we say on the show, that everybody talks about truth. I'm a truth seeker. And sure, there are fundamental laws and natural laws and truths, but your real truth is your experience. Even if you can't scientifically prove it, there are things that you go through that are just true and you can never prove them. But to me, they're more true than debating, the semantics of quantum mechanics and stuff, right? You know what I mean? So, I believe
quantum mechanics does come into this.
Sure, but I believe our personal experience is what you said. It's very important.
If you look at the astral planes, for example, and if you ever ask the question, why are they laid out like the pages in a book? Why are they covered in grid lines? Why? Well, if you look into quantum physics, particularly if you research the work on the internet of a man called Klee Irwin, Klee Irwin, and he is funding a great deal of research and leading a lot of research that's going on all over the world, trying to align traditional physics with quantum physics. And the only way you can do that is to create a new theory of everything, a new type of physics. And they are studying an eighth-dimensional crystal called E8, and mathematically projecting it down to this, 2D and 3D. Now, if you get to cut to a chase here, the nutshell it for you, because it's a complicated subject, but if you get a fantastically complex crystal in the eighth dimension, which has like millions of aspects to it, if you project that down into two-dimensional, like on a piece of paper in front of you, what you end up with is grid lines, just like you'll find in the astral dimension, in the astral planes. You'll find grid lines. Now, the higher up you go into the astral dimension, the more complicated and beautiful these grid lines get. Well, the contents of each grid box, it starts getting more colorful. If you look at the back cover of my book, Astral Dynamics, you will see a picture of the fifth astral plane taken from my memory, and you'll also see pictures inside the book of the lower planes where you've just got grid lines. It's like a desert. There's nothing there. But the higher you go, the more complex you go. And you see those grid lines stretching to infinity in all directions. There was a connection between that and very high-level quantum physics.
Yes, you brought that up earlier, how when we dream, some of us are on, I think you called it the third and fourth plane or something like that. Most of us just pass up the here and now pretty quickly.
The third and fourth astral planes are like gigantic shopping malls with literally millions and millions of people rushing around shopping. And that's kind of what it's like. A very busy, hectic place. you go above that, it's a lot quieter and it gets more beautiful. And we understand very little about the astral planes and why they're there. But only recently, the last few months, I found a connection with quantum physics, and it fits. It fits. And so I'm really excited to explore that.
All right, so let me ask you this. I find the Kabbalah, it doesn't matter if it's kosher Kabbalah, it doesn't matter if it's the mystical Kabbalah. I find that the teachings of the Kabbalah pretty fascinating when it comes to explaining that, I guess. But maybe I'm not quite understanding it, but I have seen that it is this thing that lies behind even Freemasonry, a lot of Western systems. In your opinion, does the Kabbalah explain these realms at all accurately?
Not accurately. I think to do it justice, you would need to bring in quantum physics to explain what's happening. But if you look at the parallel, one, you've got the parallel of physics, which are approaching, they would never understand they're doing this. They're approaching, you could say, the astral planes in their understanding. But the magical way of approaching it as we do, I mean, you're coming from the causal realm, and all the content of the physical universe flows down from the higher levels and eventually appears in the physical level. That's kind of how it works. You're coming from the causal level where things can be created by mind, and it flows down into this world. Mm-hmm. It's also related to the process of what they call manifestation as well. Okay. This is all related. It's like astral projection. There's a very strong connection between astral projection, between remote viewing, and with clairvoyance and psychic abilities. All psychic abilities are all closely related to astral projection, because these are different facets of the same ability, or different views from different, it's like the difference between seeing and hearing and tasting. Gotcha. They're all connected. They're all giving you a different aspect of something. You can see it, you can hear it, you can touch it, you can smell it, you can taste it. And together, combined, that gives you a lot more information about a particular thing. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Because I often wondered sometimes, why isn't everybody fascinated with the out-of-body experience as much as I am? Some are more fascinated with remote viewing, or some are more fascinated with channeling. And to me, in my mind, the out-of-body experience is the ultimate, right? But maybe it's just, like you say, that sense of that consciousness structure that I like more. Yeah, also, most people are afraid of astral projection. Even lucid dreaming is a bit too much for some people, particularly if you trigger some of those initiation experiences. And you've also got to look at people. We are locked into the physical realm, and we have to work. We have a huge amount of programming which is ongoing from birth till death. You're continually being programmed by everything. I mean, advertising is extremely powerful in how it works. And advertising techniques are used almost continually. Human beings, by the way, are becoming resistant to advertising and resistant to hypnosis, because the world has overdone it over the last 100 years. And people are becoming resistant to it, to the point where hypnotists are having to change their techniques, because the techniques they used to use no longer work as well. They have to change the techniques to account for people's resistance to advertising and programming.
I see. So now that we're becoming more aware of the programming, more aware of the underlying structure of it, they're having to switch it up a little bit.
Exactly. My oldest son is a veteran therapist, psychologist, and a hypnotist. And he has had to change his techniques over the years because they start losing their effectiveness on people, because people are becoming extremely resistant to advertising and sales techniques and things like that. And so therefore they're also becoming resistant to political advertising and fake news, and how fake news and media is used to manipulate people, to manipulate your beliefs and your actions. All of the techniques they're using for this are losing their effectiveness rapidly, and have been for years.
You know, I'm glad to hear that. I actually am glad, because to me that tells me that people are actually, it's not just my perception then. People are starting to wake up to at least cause and effect and symbolism, you know, at the very least. But I have noticed, Robert, a lot more of detailed occult symbolism in a lot of movies and flicks and stuff, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch and all this stuff. It's not just pentagrams and Baphomet anymore. They've got real goetic sigils on the floor and things like that. And I'm thinking, why is this happening? Is this good or bad? And of course, there's a lot of conspiracy around it too, but it does make you wonder why it's happening to begin with.
You want to know what I think about that?
Yes, I do.
Well, mostly I think these things are done as distractions. They are done to create conspiracy theories, keeping in mind that the term conspiracy theory was created by the CIA in the 50s after the Roswell crash, that UFO that crashed in New Mexico. The CIA actually created conspiracy theory back then, and they used it extensively to cover up the truth of what happened. And this is still ongoing today. And it comes down to this: if you want to hide a piece of wood, the very, very best place to do it is in a lumber yard. If you're going to hide a plant, the best place to hide it is in a forest, where there's so many plants and trees around, you literally can't tell the wood from the trees. Or if you hide a stick of wood in a lumber yard, there's like millions of pieces of wood around. You can't tell the real piece of wood from the fake pieces of wood. If you get what I mean here, so by putting these things in movies, either you've got occasion you get like a rebel film producer type person that's going to, like the Batman movie where I think, what's his name, Mayor Gordon, his finger hovers over the word Sandy Hook on a map. And not long after there was the Sandy Hook thing happened. And things like that happening, I think they put them in the movies deliberately as distractions, because it's the only thing that makes sense. Because if they were put in there by some kind of rebel producers or whatever, it would be noticed and they wouldn't do it anymore because they get into a lot of trouble. So I think they do it just to distract us. They distract us with conspiracy theories galore. And if you do something really, really bad and really, really big in the world, you need to do 100 really bad things around that. Let's create 100 conspiracy theories about everybody, all the ways this could have happened and why it's all covered up and done. You create those false conspiracy theories and get people talking about them. And that 1 in 100, which contains the truth, is no longer of any importance. Nobody will believe it because there's 100 falsities around, which is all bullshit, basically. Call a spade. And, you've hidden a piece of truth in a field of bullshit.
I totally agree. I think that it is meant to be a distraction. As long as these things have a connotation of evil and you got the satanic panic stuff behind it. I mean, we even with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, they put a big Baphomet statue in there and had them say praise Satan and praise this and that. And nobody that I talked to, except maybe Ryan Gable and a couple other people, have even picked up Eliphas Levi's book. They don't understand that symbol of Baphomet at all, So that's a lot of the stuff that we talk about too. But you mentioned the chakras. Now the chakras to me have always been something that has just been like I guess, and if I'm being completely honest, Robert, they've been hard for me to grasp as real. Not to say that they're not good like metaphors or symbols for energetic spots in your body, but I've tried several meditations, and people talk about these vibrations and feelings and stuff, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't know that the chakras are a real thing based on my personal experience. So you talk about them a lot. What are your experiences have been with that? Do we really have these things, or are they just representations of energetic things in our body?
No, we really have them. Now, have you practiced my system of energy work with body awareness, tactile imaging?
Not yet, but I'm definitely going to. You can bet that.
Right now, I've got a book out. It's my last book. It's called Energy Work. It's now the instructions for energy work you will find in all of my books because it's a cornerstone of all of my work. So what you're talking about here is the fundamental cornerstone of everything that I do here, because raising Kundalini, astral projection and all that, if you do a little bit of work, if you know the technique, which I've taught to 5-year-olds in a few minutes, it is very, very simple using the sense of touch if you use that method to stimulate your chakras and your energy body in important areas like the hands and feet, incredibly important. You find you get a lot more activity in your energy body, and things like astral projection and that suddenly become quite easy to do. Because if you increase the energetic activity in your body and you're stimulating the chakras which are associated with astral projection, particularly the throat chakra and the brow chakra, and you will find it much, much, much easier to get out of body.
Okay. Well, I'll have to take that course and go through that. I've felt the energy that people talk about a couple of times. Yeah, but the chakras, not so much.
If you have any of my books, Astral Dynamics, for example, I give a fairly extensive tutorial in there. But I recommend the best tutorial you'll get is my book, which is called Energy Work. Now, that workshop I mentioned, the online 5-week workshop we're starting shortly, probably 50% of that is energy work, because the course is actually called the Practical Astral Projection and Energy Work Intensive, because energy work, the ability to manipulate your energy body and astral projection go hand in hand. It makes it achievable. And it's very, very simple. If you want me to give you a short exercise to demonstrate this, I can.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, I dropped something. There you go. If you hold up your left hand, with your elbow resting on the desk or whatever there, and your fingers are wide, just relaxed. Just hold your hand up there, right? So it's pointing towards the ceiling. And you take the fingertips of your right hand and you stroke them up and down from fingertips to wrist. You're just going to stroke the palm side of your left hand, okay?
All right.
Now, while you're doing that, I want you to focus your attention on the touch and the feel that you are causing by stroking the left hand. So focus it in the left hand, that feel I'm causing there. And you're moving it up and down about half a second each way, fingertips to wrist. Now, memorize the feeling that I'm causing in the left hand, the feeling of something moving up and down, almost tickling it. And now stop physically touching it, but keep that feel going.
Okay.
You can look at it, you can close your eyes, but just feel it. Move the feel. Fingertips to wrist through the whole of the left hand. Just relax.
I can already feel it. It feels kind of pulsing.
It's very easy to do. Now, if you keep moving that feeling, fingertips to wrist, you're going to feel a pulsing, you're going to feel a buzzing, you'll feel a cool or a warmth, you'll feel a heaviness, a tension, all kinds of feelings will be caused by doing that with the hand. Okay, fingertips to wrist, and keep doing that. Now, take both hands and clap them together a couple of times, like that. Now, hold both hands up, both pointing at the ceiling, elbows resting, relaxing. By clapping, you caused a residual sensation in both hands. You can feel where you clapped, that little bit of almost pain pressure. Now, fingertips to wrist, both hands simultaneously, up and down, just like we did in the left hand. Do it for both hands at the same time in parallel. You don't need to look at them. Just move the feel, fingertips to wrists, through both hands simultaneously.
Yeah, that's
up and down.
Odd.
Now keep doing this. The right hand is usually a bit more sensitive, but it varies from person to person. Keep doing this while I'm talking, and after you've done this for about half a minute, you'll find, even if you consciously stop doing it, you'll find the action continues. It has a momentum to it that makes it very easy to do. Fingertips to wrist, half a second to 1 second each way, and you'll find that feeling starts to spread. Now, just this exercise here can activate your third eye, your brow chakra, because your hands are the major conduit into your body of, you could say, atmospheric prana type energy. And you have just, by activating the hands like this, and they feel active, you feel a buzzing, tingling type sensation in them, you have now released blockages which will flood your higher chakras, your throat, brow and crown chakras with energy, because you've never done this before. Now, that's the exercise finished, but if you repeat this exercise with your feet, start with one foot and then with the other, you will find that will release blockages which will flood your lower chakras, your base, navel, solar plexus chakras with energy. And that will also flood up into the higher chakras. And you will often feel, and this may start up several hours from now, you may, just after what we've done here, you may wake up with a pulsing in the front of your forehead or the top of your head, or in the throat or in the heart, because for some reason your body is pulling in energy to, fill up any deficits it might have in the chakra system. And so it will start activating chakras. So if that happens, don't worry about it. Go back to sleep and you'll feel fine in the morning.
Fascinating. You know what's cool? I appreciate that. We'll always have that in our archives to go back to that practice for reference too. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very simple practice, but we go from there, then we go to the feet, and then we start working on the legs, one area at a time, and then the arms, and then we work on the spine and the head, and then we systematically approach the human body, the human energy body, activating all the different areas in a logical sequence. And this, of course, then leads to you working on the chakras, working on the base, solar plexus, heart, throat, brow, and crown chakras here. And you will find, as you just found out then, when you were working on your hand, you feel that tingling and buzzing sort of sensation in the hands. Now, what that is caused by, it's caused by nerve activation. It's called pre-movement neurofiring. Now, your body thinks that it's going to move suddenly, it's getting ready to move. So it charges up the nerves ready to move, but you don't move. You keep moving your focus of body awareness through the hand, up and down, fingertips to wrist. Now, beneath the surface of the physical body and its nerves is the human energy body. And as you stimulate the nerve, beneath that, you are stimulating the actual substance of the human energy body. Now, if you do this over the site of a major chakra, you will activate it.
Wow.
And it is that easy to learn. It's incredibly simple to learn. And it is the most powerful energy work system on the planet. It is the easiest because I can teach it to 5-year-olds and have done. And it's the most powerful because you're coming into direct contact with the energy body. Now, if you spend 30 minutes practicing my system of energy work, just working through the basics and getting used to using your body awareness, your sense of touch to move energy. If you go along to a Chinese energy work session, let's say you go to an Iron Shirt Qigong tutorial, lesson 1. Now, they will teach you their methods, the hug a tree pose and things like that. And they will say, practice these things for 1 hour a day. And in a year's time, you will start to feel serious energy. But if you spend 30 minutes learning my system, you will start feeling serious energy during your first Iron Shirt Qigong tutorial. Because once you hit that pose, you'll feel massive energy moving through your body. Because there is a missing link between what makes energy move through the body. Hundreds of years ago, a couple hundred years ago, when a lot of Eastern esoteric works were translated into English and European languages and brought to the West, there was a translation issue over the words which are used on how to actually connect with the energy body and move energy. Now, the only word they had available for that to translate that into was the word visualization. And so today, it's visualize this and visualize that, but people still don't really know what visualization is. They think they do, but they actually don't. Visualization is pure imagination. Now, the smallest child can visualize, can imagine perfectly, right? So every human being, every adult can imagine perfectly. And you can imagine something in front of you, another person, down to every mark of the skin, every hair on a person's head. You can imagine the smell of their perfume, their body odor, whatever. You can imagine perfectly on all of your senses. Now, this is what they mean by visualization. And now, visualization is not really a visual skill, because you can imagine something perfectly and you can see your mother or your father or your best friend or your spouse, but you can't really see them. It's not like a television screen inside your mind being turned on. You can imagine them, but this is a non-visual sense imagination. It is very close to visual. It has a lot of visual to it, because you can imagine something, you can see it, but you can't really see it with your eyes, right. Not like a TV screen. But it's the same. But now, the last part of this problem here is that most, if not all, teachers in the New Age energy work type field and authors that write on these sort of things, usually 99% of them have a little bit of clairvoyance. Now, if you're doing those, if you are imagining something, you have a little bit of clairvoyance, you will see these things in your mind's eye like a little TV screen. But only about 10% of people have that little bit of clairvoyance, which is a visual ability where they will imagine something, visualize it, and they will actually see it. You imagine a pink three-sided pyramid, and you close your eyes. If you've got a little bit of clairvoyance, like myself, you will see a real 3D, three-sided pyramid, pink, spinning around in a slow circle. I see that. Now, if I'm a teacher and I assume that everybody else has that same ability, that when you visualize something, they're going to see it in their mind's eye, I'm absolutely wrong. Because only about 10% of people, and I have questioned thousands of people about this over the years since I first started, only about 10% of people, maybe 15 if you're lucky, have that little bit of clairvoyance necessary so that they actually see, like a little television screen in the mind, where they see what they're imagining. So you've got like 85, 90% of people who don't get that. So when they are told to visualize this and to see this, and I saw that, you know, all these people that don't have that little bit of clairvoyance active at the time think the same thing. They think, I'm defective, I can't do this. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I thought everybody could do that. That's interesting.
No, because that's an assumption, not based upon actual evidence. And I do my research in the field, and I come across this very, very early, because even in my early 20s, I took part in some groups and that, and this is how they were teaching, and everything was, I saw this and I saw that, and, you know, see this and see that, visualize this, and, you know, talking to other people about it, they said, I can't visualize, I don't see it, but I like coming here, I like the people, so I try and keep up. But of course they can't. But now once you explain to them that visualization is imagination, and not everybody will actually visually see anything, but imagination is just as powerful. Like you can imagine, without seeing anything visual, if you close your eyes and imagine a mountain scene, you're on top of a mountain looking down to a valley, and there's a big river there, and there's green hills in the background. You can see that without visually seeing it in great detail. Right. You can create that like in a lucid dream, but you can see it, but not visually. This is how it is with everybody. And this is probably the most important thing anybody who's ever going to undertake, even led meditations, where it's see this and then see that and move there and, you know, visualize this, because most people can't visualize. So they have to imagine. I did not know that.
I always assumed, and you're right, that people could see the things in their mind with their mind's eye, you know. If you take, let's say, like
it's like 10 or 15% of people. And usually these are most of the teachers. And those people sitting around you in the group that are smiling with that smug look on their face that we all hate because we can't do it.
Like say the pentagram ritual, right? If you're making pentagrams and someone says, well, I want you to make a pentagram, and imagine the flame is bright and blue, almost as if it's like right when a gas stove lights up, that kind of like see that, visualize that.
Exactly.
I can see that.
If you don't know about the visualization problem, which it is imagination, you can't do that, and you won't believe that you can do it. But if you imagine it, you can imagine the blue flame hanging there. You don't see it visually, but it is still there. Now, here's the trick. If you keep imagining it over the years, your clairvoyance will catch up with that, and you will actually start seeing it.
Literally see it with your own eyes.
It will. You will eventually catch up with it. And if you look at my book, which is called Energy Work, which is available Amazon.com, anywhere, you will find there's exercises in there for stimulating clairvoyance and things like that, which are very, very effective using tactile imaging, the sense of touch, and imagination. I explain this at great detail in all of my books, because it's such a big issue.
So for all of the people that are trying to practice magic or whatever, I think this is extremely important. This will help. I mean, doesn't that make things so much more effective, right? Like when you can really get into the visualization of it like that and really start developing those skills, you know, to me, you actually do become a real magician, a practicing magician, you know.
Well, this actually highlights there are lots of areas in magic, everything that we've been talking about here today, which are where beliefs are based upon assumptions, on books we've read, things we've been told, things we've heard that we don't have any personal experience with. I have an article. I'll send you a copy. You can put it on your webpage if you like, called The Catch Basket. It's called The Catch Basket Concept. and you can put it up on your website and give it away to people. I've got it on my blog. I think it's the third blog post up there. It's called the Catch Basket Concept. And what this is, it describes an experience where I encountered a master. Now, this master materialized to me while I'm wide awake, standing up in full light. I'm about to start my evening meditation. You know, my family's all gone to bed, and the nights are mine because, 4 children, they're all asleep, and I need to meditate. And before I'd even turned the light out, the overhead light, a voice spoke to me in my right ear. And you'll have to forgive me because I'm a detail person, because the devil is in the details always, in everything. This voice spoke to me, the voice of a deep male voice, very eloquent and kind, and it said, "Robert, it's about time we had a long talk." And this is classically called, it's like Crowley was seeking the conversation with the holy guardian angel is one way of describing it. But it's like that once in a lifetime thing where you actually encounter your higher self or a master manifest to you and gives you instruction. They never have a discussion with you. Angels will not discuss things with you. You meet an angel and they give you instruction. That's how it works. Anybody who tells you otherwise is, I think a bit deluded.
Well, that's fantastic. We mentioned Manly P. Hall earlier, and that's what I was wondering. Has anybody ever met one of these masters in the inner realms? And you have?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, a few times. Yeah. But this was the actual instruction period, and the instruction lasted for an hour or two. Now I'm standing up. Now I had described the voice in the ear was a real voice. It wasn't in my head. The gland under my right ear was vibrating strongly, and it was modulated to the voice. As the voice spoke, it was like touching, and I did touch it. It was like touching the middle of a big speaker while someone's talking through it. You can feel the vibration that modulated to the voice. This caused my mastoid bone, that curved bone behind the right ear, to vibrate as well. And this produced a very clear voice in my right ear. Now, there is in existence a product called the Sony Bone Phone. It's a type of cell phone which doesn't have a speaker for your ear. It's got a touch plate on the top of the phone. It's a cell phone designed for very noisy industrial environments. Now, to talk into this one, or to hear on a cell phone like this, you press it into your forehead and you hear the voice that's coming through the phone perfectly in your ears, because it transfers through the hard bone of your skull and directly into your ears, and you can hear the voice perfectly. So it's perfect for very noisy environments. And that's a good example of how this worked. And to cut a long story short, he asked me to sit down, and then he continued giving me instruction. You can't ask questions because there's no need. Because the master you're talking to, or it could be an angel you're talking to, already knows everything about you and knows what to tell you. An analogy I give, when you meet a higher being like a master or an angel, it's like, just imagine you're out on the road standing at a bus stop. Okay, it's a nice day, you decide to take a bus. Now, a child, 6-year-old child walks up standing next to you, a little boy, and you look at the kid, you wait for your bus, and you see the kid's sneaker laces are undone, and they're long laces. You think, wow, kid, you're going to trip over and break your neck. And you being a kind person, you say, hey, kid, your laces are undone. And you see the kid hears you, and you could tell, being a wise parent type person, that the child doesn't know how to tie his shoelaces because of the embarrassed, guilty look on the child's face. Parents can read children like you wouldn't believe. I've had 6, all adults now.
Yeah.
And so you take all that in, and then you think to yourself, okay, you kneel down and quickly tie the kid's shoelaces up in a nice, neat little double bow. And you say, there you go, kid. Your bus turns up, you jump on the bus, never see the kid again. You've done your good deed for the day.
Right.
This is exactly what it's like to meet a superior spiritual being of any kind. They don't waste any time. There's no need to ask questions. They will not have a conversation. They give you instruction. They basically say to you, hey, kid, your shoelaces are undone. You need to do this. Or they may even do something for you to help you before they go on their way. Because they have something like, it's a non-interference policy, not to interfere with human free will, and they don't like to interfere. Very rarely they will intervene or do otherwise, but it's very rare.
We've got to close this show up, and I would love to have you back in the future. I know everybody's saying that. Please have him back, right? But
yeah, I'd love to.
The course, Astral Dynamics Practical Intensive, that starts on the 27th. How long do we have? Did you say one more time to sign up for that?
We actually give people, because it's a long course, we give people another week. So we'll be taking registrations for at least another 7 or 8 days. And what we do is we give people extended time because it's a pre-recorded course. Now, I'm live. I monitor the forums, and you can ask me questions and things like that on the course. But go to my blog is on astraldynamics.com, and in the top right-hand corner, in the top menu, you will see blog. Go there. It's the first post. You can also go to glidewing.com, and you'll find the same course there because they're my partners in the States, in North Carolina.
Awesome. And I've dropped the link in the Fringe FM chat. I'll also leave the links that we talked about tonight in the archives for the podcast listeners. Robert, man, this has been one of my best conversations. I've talked to several people. I'm not playing. This has been a true treasure for me to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on Lighting the Void. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Listen, I just Skyped to you that document, the catch basket concept. It's in the middle of sending now in the text window of this, the text chat thing. Now, that is the most important piece of information I've ever received from the greater reality, because that explains the way of the master, how everything works. It's only a few pages long, but it is precious. That is my central philosophy that has guided me the last 30 years.
Fabulous. Fantastic. And look, guys, Astral Dynamics is the website too. There are a ton of things on there. I mean, there's every which way you could start that if you wanted to. I mean, there's all aspects of what we talk about on the show specifically. So you could literally, like, I'm going to go ahead and say this. This would be a good course for anybody to get into, but you could probably learn a lot more under Robert for a long time to come and know, in my opinion, more than most on a lot of these subjects. And again, Robert, thank you so much for coming on Lighting the Void. I got a proposition I want to ask you just real quick, if you don't mind hanging out just for 1 second, and I'll let you go.
Sure.
But the tomorrow night...
It's been a pleasure.
It has been an absolute pleasure. Absolutely. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Jim Elvidge on the program, and we're going to discuss digital conscious philosophy, how this whole thing might actually be a digital matrix. Not sure, but he's got some pretty good theories in here. It's pretty good stuff to back it up. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. Don't forget the show is produced by the Fringe FM. Don't copy it without written permission. If you're still listening live and you're not tired like us and you're lovers of the night, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable is coming up. Big shout out to Pacho and Don, my producers, and the music was by Chronox, guitar by Bundy. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night.
expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.